Panchanan Dalai, P. Dalai sir, please come and take your chair. Sir, Professor Panchanan Dalai sir, please take your chair. Professor Binayak Rath sir, please take your chair. And Professor Nandini Bhattacharya ma'am, please take your chair. Very briefly, I am introducing Professor Dalai, though it's not sufficient. Panchanan Dalai is the professor of English at Banaras Hindu University, renowned for his wide-ranging scholarship in diaspora studies, post-colonial literature, marginal and subaltern writing, cultural studies, and literary theory. A graduate of the University of Hyderabad, where he completed his MA, MPhil, and PhD, his research engages deeply with island diaspora, Dalit and tribal literature, new literature in English, queer studies, and interdisciplinary humanities. The author of significant works such as Understanding Island Diaspora and Modernity and Provincial Writing, The Case of Manoj Das. He has also edited volumes on cultural studies and published extensively in journals and anthologies. Known for his creative and student-centered pedagogy, Dr. Dalai integrates performance, visual arts, digital tools, and critical thinking in the classroom and continues to guide research scholars across diverse literary and cultural domain. He is currently offering the Swarm course on cultural studies for the second time, following its remarkable popularity in the previous cycle. Now I am inviting our research scholar, Shusri. Please present the Uttariya to Professor Dalai. Now, I am requesting Dr. P. Dalai to give a small token of peace, that is the mementos, to our esteemed speakers, Professor Nandini Bhattacharya, and also the Uttariya. And also our esteemed speaker, Professor Binayak Rath. Now I am requesting Professor Dalai to lead and proceedings and introduce the speakers. Sir, the session is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I extend my matinee namaskar to all those who are present here to witness the two distinguished lectures of the speakers already on the dais. Actually, in Odisha, when you perform something after post-lunch, it has its soporific elements. We go to sleep after the lunch. But there are things in the menu, in the academic menu here, that will not make you sleepy. So we have two papers. One is by Professor Nandini Bhattacharya, and she will be speaking on Shakuntala's Dharma, Conjugal Justice and Recognizing the Wife. We have another distinguished speaker, the veteran amongst us, Professor Binayak Rath, and he will be speaking on primacy of rivers in our Vedic Dharma systems, a case study of Gandhavati and Gangua in Bhubaneswar. Okay, before we really proceed to the main ritual of these academic discourses, let me introduce the first speaker of this plenary fourth session being conducted in this hall. Okay, so the first speaker is Dr. Nandini Bhattacharya, who is adjunct professor at Department of English, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata, Newtown. She was also a former professor of the Department of English and Cultural Studies at the University of Burdwan, West Bengal. She was director, the Scottish Studies Center in the same department at Burdwan, and she was also the coordinator of the UGC SAP DRS2 program of the department there, and whose focal thrust it was partition and border studies. As you know, partition and border studies are very much in the cuff. She specializes in translation and forced migration, migration studies, and ethics studies with particular reference to the 19th century colonial Bengal. She also specializes in law and literature, which is a very recent trend in humanities. And she has offered courses in National University of Jurisdictional Sciences, Kolkata on the same. She has taught in the Center for Comparative Literature back at University of Hyderabad and Central University of Jammu and Kashmir. So that is from the top of the country to the extreme south of the country. Nevertheless, I would also read out her contributions to the academic world in terms of publications. She has books such as annotated Kankabati, is that a Bengali word? Kankabati, a translation of Trailokyanath Mukhopadhyay's Modern Fairy Tale. And you have another book by her. It is called Rabindranath Tagore's Gora. A critical companion, you have Borders and Border Crossings, reading Partition, reading Diaspora, and her two books are still awaited. Published now, okay. So one is on Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar Translation Educational Reforms. Let me tell you, if you are not Bengali, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar is basically known for giving language to the Bengali people. Sahaj Path. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah, widow remarriage. And also another book she has already published, Rokeya Sakhawat, one of the early feminists in India. Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain's Sultana's Dream, a critical edition. Now, coming to today's lecture, she'll be speaking on Shakuntala, Abhigyana Shakuntala, and I'm sure she'll be dealing with the Shakuntala paradigm, where you have this triad of love, abandonment, and reunion, and obviously she'll be dealing with some of the modern concepts like toxic masculinity, body performances, talking about other things like rights to body, and she has mentioned that she will also speak on female body, rights over contraception, embryo. Yeah, they have given me this. Okay, anyway, this is how she will contextualize Shakuntala in our time. So without much delay, I now invite Dr. Bhattacharya for her lecture. Thank you. Just a second, we'll have 20 minutes for each speaker, 20 plus 20, 40, 5 minutes for question answer.
Thank you, IIT Bhubaneswar and A.K. Rath and my esteemed chair and my esteemed fellow speaker and all the esteemed scholars, teachers and academicians who are gathered here to listen to something that is fairly putative. I mean, it has not been developed to the degree that it should have. Nevertheless, I have expanded my ambit, and I will not simply speak on Shakuntala. What I will be doing, with your permission, is to speak about Dharma as social justice with particular reference to the Mahabharata. Now, I am what you could call the Mahabharata supremacist. I believe that the Mahabharata is the best text in the world. All right? Though I cannot read it in Sanskrit, nevertheless, I have been reading it with my grandmother and my mother in Bengali, in a version of Kaliprasanna Singho, and which is a very old version, and also a English version which was done by K.M. Ganguly, Krishnamohan Ganguly. So these are texts that I have grown up with, and I will be looking at whether or not Dharma is at all relevant, or the Mahabharata is at all relevant because it has been called a Dharma Shastra. Whether it is the Pancham Veda, and whether it is talking about Dharma, whether it is frozen in time. Oh, it all belongs to some old rishis and munis. It has no relevance today. This is the point that I am going to address, and I hope after this lecture you would have changed your minds just a bit, and you would have read the Mahabharata as a text that teaches us every day about Dharma. Now, I will quote from Bhishma and what he says to Yudhishthira in the Anushashan Parva. Dharma is one's true friend, for it follows the body that has been abandoned by all. So Dharma is that ultimate thing that remains with you when everybody else has abandoned you. So such is the importance of Dharma. Now, I'm not going to quote in Sanskrit because my Sanskrit is poor, and therefore I would not like to make you all laugh. And I believe it would not be too, in the Sanskritic languages, the word dharma the meaning ranges from God Dharma to Yama, that is the god of death, to law, to ethics, to moral behavior specific to one's varna, that is jati dharma, rules, justice, essential quality of a substance. The dharma of fire is to burn, the dharma of water is to wash. Okay, yet I believe it would not be too far off the mark to call the description of dharma at the center of Mahabharata as social justice. That is the real interpretation of dharma that you will understand as you grow in years and as you keep reading the Mahabharata, especially the book of beginning, Adi Parva, and the Shanti and the Anushashan Parva, where Yudhishthira has long conversations with Bhishma. Therefore, these are the three books that I have looked at, because these are the three books that actually speak about what is dharma. Now, the innumerable discourses on dharma are primarily worked out through Bhishma and through the delineations of dharma in the physical form of Vidura, of Bhishma and Yudhishthira, and many other creatures such as the Vaka, the crane, who is also the Yaksha who asks Yudhishthira the questions, such as the dog that follows Yudhishthira right up to Svargarohan, such as the Suka Pakshi, who actually jumps into the fire to give food to a wicked Brahmin, and such as the mongoose who is rolling on the plate of people after the great Rajsuya Ashwamedha Yagna has been done, and when Yudhishthira and the Pandavas are now the conquerors and king of Hastinapur. Everything, all the hurly-burly is done, all the battles lost and won. That Ashwamedha Yagna, even that Ashwamedha Yagna where enormous sacrifice is made, the mongoose rolls on those waste plates and finds that his rest of his body is not turning golden. So Yudhishthira, who is the Dharma Raja himself, is not dharmic enough So what is dharma? All right. So Bhishma's articulation that the ways of dharma are inscrutable, shuksma, okay, exceedingly subtle, and even the wisest in the world fail to understand its meaning at all times, and the essence of dharma is hidden within a guhayam or a cave, is in response to Draupadi's imminent question in the Sabhaparban when she has been dragged in one vastra, Rajashala, and she is being disrobed and humiliated by the Kaurava brothers. It is at this point, even at this point, when it appears as if there can be no two things about it. I mean, this is wrong. But even here, Bhishma says that dharma is situational. In a way, I would say that the way in which Mahabharata, the question that Draupadi asked, all of you know, that has Yudhishthir first lost himself or has he lost me first? Because if he has lost himself, then he is a slave and he cannot put me on bet. All right, so this was the question. So the question that is a dharma sankata, what is the right thing to do? But what I'm trying to say is that far long before our Derridas and our postmodernists, the Mahabharata actually speaks of dharma as situational, as something that can never be asserted, because it is always embedded in a complex matrix of rights, duties, and situational politics. So this is something that I would like to, present to you. And there is no one-size-fits-all definition of dharma. And in the Anushashan Parva, as Bhishma lies on the bed of arrows, he speaks of good conduct, ahimsa, and anrisangsya. This is a very popular idea now, that Mahabharata teaches us not just non-violence, but cessation from violence, that is anrisangsya. But remember that this story of anrisangsya, or this teaching of anrisangsya and ahimsa, is happening when the Kaurava father, the Pitama, is on a bed of arrows. And the widows are still mourning the fact that so many people have died. And this story is being told in the context of a Sarpa genocide, a Sarpa Yagna, where snakes are dropping from the top of the sky, and Janmejaya is conducting that sacrifice, and Vaishampayana is telling the story, having witnessed that Sarpa Yagna. What I'm trying to say is that, and also there has been the Ashwamedha Yagna, which is a terrible sacrifice, because the Ashwa has to be cut into 3 pieces by the Pradhana Mahisi. And then that, flesh has to be put in the fire, and that flesh has to be smelt. So it is within such a context of violence that we are talking about anrisangsya and ahimsa as paramo dharma. All right, so every word or every idea that is presented is always presented with an opposite, with a contrast, with another situation that is in sangvad, or in dialogue with that idea. All right. So the Kshatriya men crush their warriors even in direct violation of their Kshatriya dharma by killing a warrior when he is defenseless. I'm speaking of Arjuna and Karna, fixing his Ratha wheel by, and in the case of Bhima and Duryodhana, by breaking a warrior's thigh bone when it is clearly stated that the mace warrior cannot hit above the knee. The Brahmins rule through the exercise of the mind, but they are afflicted by lust, kama, like Parashar, who the moment he sees Satyavati wants to have her. Or Vishwamitra, the moment he sees Menaka, he immediately forgets all his heavenly desires. And or real eccentrics like Durvasa or Mandavya or Jamadagni who, curse randomly. Now, in many cases, the Brahmins and Kshatriyas combine to augment, animate each other's decisions and courses of life, but their actions are far from what today one would call ethical. But the word ethical is always within a matrix of a number of positions, which is why ethics is very difficult to, what is ethical for me? I will eat chicken. But is it ethical to kill the chicken or to hang the chicken like this and bring it to the butcher's shop? So ethical has always to be situational. I'm utterly indebted to V.S. Sukthankar's views as expressed in the 4 lectures anthologized as on the meaning of Mahabharata for my talk. One can therefore seek answers regarding dharma as social justice. Now this social justice, what I say is, it is achieved through this balance, all right? So there is a scrambling of the upper and the lower varnas. There is a scrambling of man and woman hierarchies. There's a scrambling of jati hierarchies. There's a scrambling of human-animal hierarchies. Now the point that I'm making is that, yes, Mahabharata is a power text. It is about power play. It is about the men who rule the world and the women whom they catch hold of as prizes. But it is also a text where women's voices are heard. Their debates have a space, and there is something like a samvad. And it is a tale which is being told within the context of a Sarpa Yagna where creatures are being burnt. But it is also a text where Yudhishthira takes the dog right into heaven. And there is a mongoose who can say, the lowly mongoose who can say that nothing has, there is no dharma in this great Rajsuya festival because it is not given in humility. The issue of dharma as conjugal justice is raised in the Shakuntala Upakhyana. I'm sorry, sir, I'm not talking about the Abhigyana. Shakuntala Upakhyana of the Adi Parvan. Dushyanta is aware of the adharmic dimension of making love to Shakuntala without the knowledge or permission of her foster father Kanna Kashyapa. However, he convinces Shakuntala saying that the Gandharva riti of marriage is dharmic for Kshatriyas. Shakuntala has little choice, facing the kama demands, the lust demands of an all-conquering king Dushyanta, just as Satyavati as a lowly fisherwoman had very little choice when confronting the kama-driven Rishi Parashar or later King Shantanu. However, both the women negotiate their position and demand that, one demands that her virginity may be intact, that is Satyavati with Parashar, and that both of them say this, that their sons may be recognized as future kings and they may be recognized as Mahishi. All right, there are several categories of women, so the Mahishi being the topmost. Shakuntala condemns the non-recognition as patently adharmic. This is something I've said in many places, but see, recognition is the most basic ethical act. Your head of the department is moving from there and you say, "Sir, how are you, sir?" And the person who does your dishes in the house, she is also passing and you just look away. Because it is not in your favor to recognize her. To recognize something is at the root of dharma. All right, so non-recognition of Shakuntala is that adharma which has to be debated because it suits the king not to recognize her. He knows that he has laid with her. So, yes, like Sita, like in the case of Sita, where a very similar non-recognition happens, the question of conjugal justice is decided by heavenly voices, and the Upakhyana ends with the recognition of Shakuntala. You know, this is very important for your post-human studies, that you recognize, there is spectare, which is also the root of respect. You recognize the little mongoose, the little fly, the little bird. So this is also recognition, respect. Now, so the precarity of a woman is exposed, and her only means of social equity is through the production of a male child, but that is acknowledged. But Sita and Shakuntala are given voices and allowed to raise these dharmic debates that destabilize the claims of absolutist male entitlement in the name of dharma. This is a tendency that we note in every part of Mahabharata, especially in the physical manifestation of dharma. In the Adi Parva of Mahabharata, Dharma Raja manifests as Vidura. All right, though he is of royal Paurava lineage, he is demeaned, sidelined, and subordinated at each step. Now, why does this happen to Dharma? Why is a Dharma now become Vidura, who is not respected by anybody, though he's always telling the truth? This is because Dharma has been cursed by a rishi called Mandavya, who is also called Ani Mandav because he has been impaled. Ani means shul. Usko shuli pe charana tha. Or that is why he is called Ani Mandavya. He cursed Dharma that I have been unreasonably impaled. And then the Dharmaraj said that, no, in your childhood, all right, so Vidura, as a result of that curse of Animandavya, now becomes a human being and born in Shudra Joni. That is why he is always, sidelined. Now, the adharma or injustice that Vidura has to bear is the result of a curse that Rishi Mandava had imposed. On another level, the same Niyoga Pratha that enabled Dharmaraja to manifest himself in the womb of Kunti as Yudhishthira. So this, here again, see, there is a balance. On the one hand, there is the kaka or the uncle who is born of Shudra Joni and therefore demeaned. But there is the Bhratushputra, that is Yudhishthira, who is born in high station. So Dharma has both stations and thus it is balanced. Now, please give me 10 more minutes. Please give me 10 more minutes. The Mahabharata, please. Mahabharata shows Vidura and Yudhishthira as two bodies, but practically one mind, forged in a relationship of continuous dialogue, advice, and consultation. The heir apparent to the Puruvangsha lineage, the future king of Hastinapur, and the Dasiputra, uncle Vidura, balance out the asymmetries of Dharma's social position. Dharma again manifests itself in the question-asking, response-demanding vaka or crane that is also a yaksha near a water body. Yudhishthira discovers all the brothers as dead and they had refused to respond to the vaka as something, a small creature, before drinking the water. The bird manifestation of Dharma poses those questions about life and its meaning, happiness and truth, and the right way that Yudhishthira is able to answer perfectly. Now, I have already spoken about the mongoose and about dana. Now, today you may read Derrida's essay on giving as something that can never be given, because giving is always a cycle or exchange. It is a kind of a grace of donaire, where giving is a kind of a supernatural act. So therefore, no, you cannot gift anything to anyone without creating an obligation of further gift. So The mongoose says something very similar. Ultimate gift is something that cannot be calculated. You cannot calculate a gift. And finally, of course, when all the elders have died, I am wrapping it up, when all the elders have died, there is Vidura who has been on air, and he is emaciated, and he is holding on to a tree, and he becomes almost one with the tree as he dies. And that is the point when the Atman of Vidura actually passes on into the body of Yudhishthira. Thus, the division of dharma as high, low, animal, so that is finally resolved. Now, in the journey towards Swargarohan, in the Mahaprasthana Parva, when all have fallen, Yudhishthira is still followed by the faithful dog till the gates of heaven. Yudhishthira refuses to abandon his canine companion, even at the cost of losing his place in Swarga. The dog now manifests itself as Dharma and commends Yudhishthira for understanding this complex matrix of Dharma, where every creature, flora, fauna, high-born, low-born, man, woman, trans, are connected and interdependent. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, ma'am. I will definitely give my comments at the end of the two papers, but since we are running short of the time, I will now introduce the next speaker of this session, that is Professor Binayak Rath. Professor Binayak Rath is an economist who served as a long-standing faculty member in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Kanpur. More than that, he holds a PhD in economics from IIT Kanpur and specializing in social benefit cost analysis and developmental economics. His research spans environmental economics, water resource management, irrigation policy, and rehabilitation and resettlement of studies. He has also authored works including steel industry in India and its employment multiplier linkages, and he has contributed extensively to policy-oriented research. After retiring from IIT Kanpur, he continued academic service as a visiting professor, including at Niger, Bhubaneswar. Professor Rath is going to speak on one of the very burning research areas in our time, that is on river, and the topic of his talk today is Primacy of Rivers in Our Vedic Dharma System, a case study of Gandhavati and Gangua in Bhubaneswar. The lectern is yours, sir, please. Need somebody to...
Good afternoon to everybody. Mr. Chairman of the session, co-panelists, Bhattacharya, the organizers of this important seminar, I must congratulate Naresh Sahu and Dr. Rath for organizing a conference on Dharma. In fact, today morning you have heard the chief guest. He talked of Dharma, but I am one of the protagonists of karma. He didn't use the word karma. Karma is nothing but a dharma to me. If you look at the philosophy, particularly the Sanatana philosophy, the Indian traditions, in Indian traditions, what we find that rivers are always worshipped. They are like goddess. We say Mother Ganges. All rivers actually, rivers are significance of goddesses. Now, what am I going to talk actually? That if you talk all religions, everywhere they say rivers are meant for purification. And the morning the chief guest focused on purification. If you want to purify, what do I say that? You look at the Ganga Snan, people go for Ganga Snan. And particularly whenever you have this Kumbh Mela, lakhs and lakhs of people come. I have spent all my life in Kanpur, 37 years in IIT Kanpur. I was also a member of the monitoring committee of Ganges at IIT Kanpur, when I was in IIT Kanpur. I have studied all river systems, most of the river systems in India, also at international level. American system, European river system, Australian river system, including Chinese river system. And India, Naras was one of my students, actually he worked on environment part. Irrigation, water is nothing but one important component of our living beings. You know, 5 basic elements of life. What are the 5 basic elements? It is basically that water, earth, air, sky, and last part is fire. Today morning I was unhappy when the lamp was lighted there. I'm one of the protagonists. I always say, when I was vice chancellor of Utkal University, I made a point. No plastic and polythene should come. Now even wherever I go as chief guest, I made a condition that no lighting will be done in AC room. You have seen how much smoke was coming from that, I was telling. Which I think I have a submission, I will talk to the director, that whenever you have any function, stop lighting. What I suggest actually, they have a plant actually, that banyan plant. Where is okay? It's not here. I think in this place we should have tulasi also. You should have a medicinal tulasi with a pot. So you put water, they have watering actually. If you put water, you worship earth, you worship the plant, you worship the air and the sky there everywhere. And finally, I submit always, only have no lighting concept. If you want to put fire, once a single stick that you will use. Chief guest can put that actually. That's my submission actually. I think I practice in Niger also, as of Niger Bhubaneswar. He talked of identification today morning. I'm one of the persons who always say, identify with the organization in which you are working. Today, when I entered IIT Bhubaneswar, after a long time, for the last 5 years I have not come. I was basically involved with IIT Bhubaneswar from the very beginning when they moved from Kharagpur to Bhubaneswar. I was vice chancellor of the university. The founder director came to me, he said that we need some support. I said that my guest house is free for you to pay to university. You want houses also I can give you. And I told him that first thing I have said, Niger we have committed a mistake because my friend came as director from IIT Kanpur, first director. What he did actually, the entire land was handed over to L&T, turnkey basis. You design and construct everything. You know what happened in that effect? That there was a hillock, there are so many trees, they cut all the trees, first the clean. When I came, I saw that, I said, what have you done? It's not desirable. So I told Professor Chakrabarti, as a member of the Senate, first Senate, in one of the meeting I said, whenever campus was not developed, we were in the city. I told Mr. Chakrabarti, Professor Chakrabarti, that at least let us ensure all like vegetations within the campus, original plants should be there. Wherever you need a building, cut, but not all the trees actually. That's basically that. I think I'm glad that the campus has come very nicely. I have planted some trees also here because I was for 2 years in Niger and 3 years I was adjunct professor in IIT Bhubaneswar, and for 6 years I continued as a member of the Senate of IIT Bhubaneswar. So I was also Vice Chancellor of Uttar University. I have planted 22,000 trees in my university campus. I'm an environmentalist. I'm born environmentalist. So this is one of the submissions that, look at the concept of water that I say. All great civilizations in the world, they are the banks of rivers. In fact, my previous speaker was talking of Lord Krishna. Look at the Lord Krishna's early childhood. Where is it? On the embankment of river Yamuna. Then he moved to, where he did? From river to sea. Dwarika, inside the sea. After incarnation, where he came? Krishna, Jarasabha killed. The blessing that I will be worshipped by you. So Lord Krishna came in the form. Jagannath is basically Jagannath, earlier version of Jagannath. Jagannath was not in Puri. Jagannath reappeared as Nilamadhav in Contilo on the bank of river Mahanadi. And then when he shifted to Puri, there's a river, branch of Mahanadi. Anybody knows what the river? Somebody in Puri. See, Bhargavi river. Bhargavi goes by this basically, and why rivers are being, all temples in Odisha or anywhere, you find they are on the bank of a river. What is the reason? That the trade routes are river systems. Whatever articles they want to, like stones and everything that they want to get, they have to carry through water. So water is always important source of the carrying the materials needed for. Not only that, in our Hindu religion, Sanatana religion, whenever we start any puja, we invite the gods. Before invoking the gods, what do we say? We remember all the rivers. The Sankalp, when we do actually, what do we say? Gangescha, Jamunescha, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu, Kaveri. These are important rivers. We invoke the rivers first. Then you invoke the gods. Then you invoke our forefathers. So this is our tradition. Rivers have played everywhere. It represents actually that what I said, this is represents of the all river systems. Now basically that if you look at the rivers, the symbol of purity. Any transformation that we want, why we go to temples actually? Temple we go with I'll go and purify myself. People go to Kumbh Mela and they take a dip. I was surprised because normally when I was in Kanpur, Ganga was highly polluted there. Although as a member of the committee, I never have taken a bath in Ganges. I go because IIT Kanpur is located on the bank of river Ganges. And when Kumbh Mela I attended in 2015, I was surprised to see how come the water has become so pure in Ganges, basically at Allahabad. Surprised thing. Many foreigners which come, they are always surprised that so many people, how are they managing here? Last Kumbh Mela, the elaborate arrangement, so many people came. That the entire credit goes to the present Chief Minister, Adityanath. It's a basic argument. Even all yugas are that to say. Kali Yuga and Dwapar Yuga, everywhere we find rivers play a significant role. I think if you look at the primacy of religion in Hindu religion, rivers have always profound significance in human history. They are vital source of water for drinking, for agriculture, for transportation, and in the bibliographical context actually, rivers often emerge as symbols of life, judgment, purification, and divine providence. Rivers are most important for us. In Odisha, fortunately, when I come at what time I going to present, all of you know that in Hindu rivers are just water bodies. They are not only water bodies, they are considered sacred entities. In Hindu philosophy, already I have discussed 5 elements. Actually, that I'll skip. Now, since time is very short, look at not only Hindu religion, look at Islamic system. In Islamic system, the sacred version of Quran, that the reference have been the natural elements which hold profound significance. Among them, they say rivers play a distinctive role among the natural resources, and rivers play a distinctive role. And Quran focuses, what are the rivers? As you have Ganges actually, in Muhammad, in Islamic religion, the rivers like Euphrates, Nile, and Sehan and Jehan, they are the important rivers like Ganga, Jamuna, that Saraswati that we talk of. They have a river system actually, and most important them is Euphrates. The water is considered as a gift of Allah, and Prophet Muhammad had advocated people are partners to three things. What are those things? Fire, water, and grass. And and even Christianity that we say in the Bible, that river in Bible symbolizes life, purification, and divine guidance, and also transformation, playing a crucial role in various narratives used by the Christianity. So everywhere, all rivers that we say, always river is a life system. Rivers are basically nourishments. Life is nourishment. Rivers are often associated with life. What is my concern actually? I'll come to it basically. What is happening now? All rivers in the world are in peril. That's my concern. Now, what am I going to present actually? Basically, the case study that I'm going to present. The genesis of water crisis, I'm skipping this actually. I think the time is very short, so all of you know that it's available. That basically what we are talking, because the primacy of water that we said 21st century, there is a war, there will be water war. Water has become scarce. Population is increasing, water demand is increasing, supply is not increasing. Whatever, like basically what I have shown, out of the water is available, 97% not available for human use. 3% is available, but out of 3% fresh water, only 0.4% is available. Others are locked in river, locked in the mountains in the form of ice. So basically 0.4% of the water is available. That scarce water, what is happening now? We are polluting. The civilization, the new modern civilization is polluting all the rivers. So my concern actually, so people are going to lack like safe drinking water. There will be ecological imbalances. Biosphere is going to, the climate change that we are talking of, it is because of pollution load also. So this is one of the problems that we find. So look at my genesis of my study. Why am I interested? I was in IIT Kanpur for basically from 75 to 2008. When I came to take over as vice chancellor of the university, my first attention was done that when we are students in the 60s, that's a beautiful lake, the right hand side of the campus. When I entered, I found there is a wall. I said, why the wall? I asked about that, where is the lake? The answer was given to me, sir, till 1980, the lake was conceptualized to be used, the founder vice chancellor of the university has conceptualized the lake to be used as basically one of the rowing clubs for the students and staff. Till 1980, freshwater fish was harnessed by the campus community, the cooperative society. They were basically harvesting freshwater fish, sweetwater fish from their pond. But after 80, with the modernization, expansion of Bhubaneswar, population rising, commercial activities rising, now all the waste are dumped into river systems in the world, and particularly in this like stream that we have, Banaras stream, that has 21 streams have identified. I think I'll skip also this. I think you have given a signal. Okay, so I think I'll skip this also. That I think that time this is available that I've given them that people. I've written a book, 15 years, 2008 when I joined. After that, that is the research book actually. I think Naresh, I'll hand over the book to you, Naresh. The chairman can hand over. This is for Naresh. And also there's a map also that I have done on the basis of this actually. And I'll come to that map. The book is basically inaugurated. This is how the book is inaugurated. The governor of Odisha is launching the book. And we have a map. That's an interesting thing. I'm coming to the map actually. That if you look at the Bhubaneswar, the river Gangua is a historic river. In Skandapran that I'm coming. Why do we want heritage status for Gangua? See, it is basically, it's in the Skanda Puran. It was written by Veda Vyasa. That he said, that time the name of the river was Gandhavaha. In Kapilasmita and Ekamba Purana, the name is Gandhavati. During the rule of Ganga dynasty kings in the 10th century, 12th century, the name was Gangavati. Then it became Gangua. Presently, government has used in the name Gangua Nala. Unfortunate thing that it is basically like, and their origin, they say, report, there is a 2018, there was a report by the RRC committee. They have said this river is originating from village just above the university, like basically that Gadakono. Nowhere in the world, how the engineers are, I am a critic of upon the engineers, because my PhD work started with critic of engineering subject. So I asked them, how come you say, have you seen anywhere in the river, always the river originates from a hill system or from a lake? But the water to the lake is coming from hill. So everybody, I started exploring where from the river is coming, where you are going, what is the consequences, what is the remedies that I have suggested to government. It's in the, like basically the Green Tribunal also. Now, I always say that is a historic river. And this river actually, that if you look at, like basically now even the 12th century bridge I discovered. And there is only one emperor of Odisha, Kharavela. Kharavela is Oira Kharavela, Jainist. In fact, the Jagannath culture, all of you know that it's basically Sarva Dharma Samanvaya. All religions are existing in Odisha. No conflict. We have first, basically, if you look at the modern set, after Tretaya Yuga, actually, basically, when Sanatana Dharma came, actually, traditional system, Buddhism came. Bhubaneswar also is part of Buddhism sometimes. So now there is a claim that Buddha was born in Kapilavastu here. There is a book, research going on actually. In fact, in Nepal, no Buddhists are there. Whatever Buddhists that we have, I belong to a place actually from Badaman, Narsipur, we have the Buddhist remnants. If you look at the Mahanadi system, all the river systems in Odisha, everywhere, there's the temple, basically the rivers are the main source. And this river, basically Kanpur Khetra, was the status, having the status of Varanasi. And river Gangua was recognized as Ganga, Varanasi. So Utkal Kalinga civilization, Gangavati has a special place. And this river we have converted into, look at this is the place, this is the remnant of the Kharavela's capital actually was there, Sisupalgarh. This is all the royal women were going to take bath. This is the remnant of that. This is like basically bathing hut. They are going to that. And also another thing that I saw, a bridge, the 12th century bridge. It was constructed by Anangakondeva's times. So there, because one of the kings every day used to come to visit Lord Lingaraj. So that bridge is still existing. These are all the existing actually. Look at this interesting river Muhammad. I'll stop this actually, sir. I think, no, I understand that actually. Look at the river. If you look at this actually, this was 15 years of research that I traveled all around Bhubaneswar and to search Gangua and its branches, the 21 streams. In fact, I have said, somebody said that this is not a river, and I said, gentlemen, try to understand what is a river. A river should have independent origin. Daya Nadi is not the independent origin, it is a branch of Mahanadi. Bhargavi is a branch of Mahanadi. Katjodi is a branch of Mahanadi. They are not independent rivers. But this is an independent river originating from, this is the area. This entire area is Dampada Reserve Forest. If you look at this is the entire green area. Whenever you fly, those who are coming, actually the plane comes for 10 kilometers green area from Gandhampada to till Bhubaneswar. Flying over. This is an area actually in which no stone is there. Since there is no stone, there are 3 dams actually. Here is a dam, here is a dam, here is a dam. And all the dams constructed, recently constructed, originally not there. This is the place where Ganga dynasty, this is the Churangarh. So Churangarh, there is another river, Prachi river, that if you look at Prachi Dhara here, Prachi. So Bhubaneswar has two Puranic rivers. One is Gandhavati, another is Prachi river, Prachi civilization. So all these are important rivers. All these important rivers we have converted into nalas or streams and highly polluted. You look at the pollution load. Actually, I'll skip some photographs, sir. I'll stop. This is and all the temples that we have drawn. Since it was Ganga's Manyata, all these places that I said, these are all basically the Shiva temples, Lord Shiva temples. All the Shiva temples in Bhubaneswar are on the vicinity of river Gangavati or Gangua, or like basically the Shiva temples, all Shiva temples actually, starting from like Megeshwar temple. I always travel to that. In fact, every day I cross the river 3 times. And every day that when I come, that I cross through this actually, that all the temples actually, temple complexes. So the temple complexes are also signifying that it is a heritage river. How can you call heritage river a nala? Now these are primacy of Gangua. I think I'll leave that. What I have done, I have written here written. Presently, the government of Odisha, but I have to meet the chief minister. I have to apprise him, and because somebody said that, sir, you should come. I said, unless I'm invited, I'll not go. I don't care about chief minister, because when I was the vice chancellor of the university, that somebody tells somebody, chief secretary said, sir, chief minister desires. I said, so what? As vice chancellor, I am an independent entity, so I do not want to oblige your chief minister. I am only accountable to my chancellor, who is the governor of the state. So any instructions were given during my tenure of 3 years, no minister was allowed to enter university campus. No politician was allowed to enter university campus. That is the meaning of autonomy of the university. I said, I am autonomous institution, we should hold it. So this is basically that what I say. What the final summation that I have, that genesis of present problems that I'll skip. I'll show you this. These are 3 dams I have shown. These are the sources. All pure water here. The pure water was flowing, and Bhubaneswar is endowed with all many natural springs. Water is coming from down, pure water. In fact, vice chancellor residence when I was there. Okay, I'm closing. I'm closing, sir. This is also the photographs, and these are the sources. So this is the basically the streams that I have drawn. That they all my research experiment, all photographs I have taken of my own. Nobody have taken. And how the river was being used. And basically, if you look at that flooding in the river, it was flooding. How come a nala can have a flood? There are flood. And basically that there is a flood period. No nala can cause flood. The river can only cause flood. So basically, my submission is here is heritage river. It's all encroached upon the nala also. So I think I have some policy recommendations actually. What are the policy recommendations? Just strong recommendation. Whether the government will accept or not. I said, River Thames in London has same problem as you have for Gangua. When I visited London, I was told, twice I had been to London, Thames, that it's a meandering river. I can show the map. It's all crossing. That it's not straight. So meandering river course actually has to be cleaned. It can be used for tourism purposes, and the government should recover it, reclaim it. And if you can reclaim this actually, the only I think you can solve. Otherwise, what is going to happen? Because of pollution load, all the living beings in the river are dying. Downstream the river goes to the river, and Kanas block that last July I visited. Most of the people, 100 villages are suffering because the water which is flowing highly toxic. If you look at the coliform level, it is specified for the C class cities, 50,000 coliform level, and for B class it is 500 or less. But for Gangua, the 1,60,000 coliform level. No, the bacterial level, so no animal can survive. So fishes are not surviving, no animal is surviving. So downstream people, those are surviving on fishing activities, they are facing the problem. So this is a river which is a heritage river. I submit that it should be recognized as a heritage river. And my final appeal, actually I stop actually here. We recall that basically we should revitalize. There's a canal also, there's the map that, I think I have some maps that somebody can collect from map actually. It's meant for the students actually, I got it. So you collect and look at the map and try to examine. And I always say Let us save Gangua from further depletion. Let us revive Gangua. I appeal to all of you to partner with me and partner with the government. Citizens actually, citizen forum. Unless citizen forums are active, Gangua cannot be saved. Humanity cannot be saved. So if you want to save humanity, save rivers and save one of the heritage rivers. Thank you very much. Jai Jagannath. Okay, so
Yes. So now the floor is open for questions. If at all there are questions from the audience. Are there any questions? All right. So basically we had the two papers where they discussed about the possibility of applying the dharma or moralities or ethics of living, ethics and moralities that are inscribed in our scriptures. And we have gathered here to learn that urgency of moralities or ethics from our scriptures. That is why we are gathered here to learn, right? So Professor Rath basically spoke about the necessity of or the ethics of treating our rivers to avoid any future or further calamities or climate, disasters and poverty, many other natural disasters and all. And this is what is also mentioned in Nadi Sukta, protection of the river. Nadi Sukta also talks about the dharma of river, its movements, its direction, its origin, and beyond the human treatment of the rivers also. This is what he wanted to place his lecture, but it was also brilliant how he was contextualizing that dharmic or scriptural description of the rivers with our political economy of our own life. When I say political economy, the very living conditions that we are living with, how we are treating it. So that was the best part of it. And dharma is that when we do not simply adore or worship, but we apply it. The best dharma is when we learn from dharma to apply it. So that was all about river. And sir, in the present academic scenario, we are using so many theoretical jargons. So like, no, I'm not talking about, that's what I'm talking about. So we can place it in blue humanities. We have this terminology called blue humanities, where we study sea, oceans, rivers and water. So this was all about what we again use a jargon called river sutra. Okay, but before this we had another sutra, the first speaker who spoke on Vivaha Sutra, right? How the Gandharva marriage had created problems of misrecognition of Shakuntala, and not only Shakuntala, but Shakuntala's son Bharata, right? Misrecognition and status subordination of Shakuntala, how she was loved and then she was abandoned and finally she would be recognized. So basically then, to cut the clutter, what I want to say is that this session was quite fruitful in realizing how we can learn from our scriptures to live a sustained and harmonious and happy life. Thank you very much for being and witnessing these two lectures. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your patient listening. I would like to thank the speakers for their insightful presentation. And I would also like to thank the chair who monitored and mentored us throughout the process. I would like to invite Professor Dwivedi to present a certificate to the chair. Give it to Akshara. Professor Dalai? He has a small. Yeah.
In the previous session, you heard to my teacher, Professor Hosang Merchant was my teacher back in University of Hyderabad. And what you are seeing now is I'm